It's time to fight! Mortal Kombat!
I'm Steph.
And I'm Ange.
We're Nerdazons.
Love it.
Oh, that was great.
These intros are so much fun. I'm sure we sound so dorky, but it's actually really, really fun to do.
It's my highlight. Okay, so this one was my choice. Okay, so I have actually two reasons. One, because my mate actually helped build the sets for Mortal Kombat. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. So I watched it. And then I was thinking to myself, prior to this, what is that horribly trashy movie that I watched as a kid? I don't remember. And then it just happened to be Mortal Kombat. So I was like, this is awesome.
Trashy? How can you call that trashy?
Because I loved this movie as a kid. I think I watched it literally about 100 times. And then, I don't know, I forgot about it. And then I was just randomly thinking, yeah, what is that movie? And so that's why I chose this one.
I freaking loved this film as a kid. And me and my twin, spoiler, I only watched the new one last night. And I was messaging him as I was watching it because both of us don't mind if we spoil things for each other. And I was showing him how epic some of the things were, and then we were talking and I said, do you remember when we used to watch the original, and at night when no one would watch how dorky we were, we'd go outside and pretend to fight on the front yard? And I'm like, man, we were such losers.
But that was like the time. I thought, let's continue with the way that we're going and just talk about the movies as a full comparison, where, you know, we do the synopsis like we have been doing.
Yeah, so, and like with our listeners, you can let us know if you like this or if you prefer how we used to talk about the first movie, then talk about the second. But yeah, I think we're on a roll with the way we've been talking in this new format. So let's keep going.
Okay, so IMDb says 3 unknown martial artists are summoned to a mysterious island to compete in a tournament whose outcome will decide the fate of the world. And IMDb for the Mortal Kombat 2021 says MMA fighter Cole Young seeks out Earth's greatest champions in order to stand against the enemies of Outworld in a high-stakes battle for the universe. Okay, first of all, we're talking about music, because this was the best soundtrack.
Still is one of the best.
I'm going to say it's on par with Charlie's Angels.
This soundtrack, I still have a lot of the soundtrack in my workout mix. Or like sometimes when I just want to get pumped, it's like, yes, I'm going to go and listen to this. I'm going to do it. And then, yeah, I still listen to it. I was only just listening to some of the themes beforehand. It was just, I think this was epitome of like 90s techno trance music when it was coming out. It wasn't too heavy. It worked perfectly to fit in a game style film. The soundtrack is epic, and I'm just going to say it and call it the original wins for the soundtrack on this.
See, the one thing, the remake, it sucks because you only hear the Mortal Kombat theme at the end of the movie.
Yes, I was going to say that. Yeah, that was... Well, I was watching it and I'm like, oh, the sound, like, even in the fight scenes, the music really wasn't that great, I thought. Whereas in each fight scene for the original, there was a different theme song that came with it. And they had their own distinct tune, which was like the game. And it made me
just want to go, yeah, let's fight, come on.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool, like, they're fighting. So when Kano and Kung Lao were fighting, all I was thinking of is like down button, across, down.
Yeah.
They would keep doing the same like moves.
Yeah,
FYI, I wasn't a huge gamer. I haven't really been a gamer. I remember, you know, playing Mortal Kombat at the arcades and stuff, but no, I don't think we ever owned it.
See, I remember as a kid, I watched my older brothers and sisters play it a lot. Because when being the youngest, that whole trick of give them the controller, make them pretend like they're playing. Or if I did get to play it, I typically was the first to die in the like arena matches. But I've always liked Mortal Kombat, and I've got the newer games down, and I still suck at them. But I like it. I like those games.
I'm not very good at fighting games at all. Actually, speaking of games really quickly, I pulled out my PlayStation 2 that I haven't used in a really long time, and guess what I found is on there?
What?
The Simpsons Tap and Run.
Oh my god, I had that game.
It's so much fun to play, but I'm so bad at it.
It's so fun. Oh wow, what a good game.
I know.
Now we're off topic. Let's go back. So we talked about music and we've already declared that the first one wins with soundtrack. The second thing I want to bring.
So just before we move on to music, I have to say that, yeah, this one was really unrememberable. There was nothing that you can say that was off the Mortal Kombat soundtrack or that song was from here. And it was just really disappointing because that's what I was excited to see. Like, that's what I was excited about was the music, because the music was so important in the original.
It was so iconic in the original. Even now, like, it still holds the soundtrack to that. It's a soundtrack that has done its job to get you pumped and hyped for the fight. Yeah, like you said, the second one was not memorable at all. And the only thing that was memorable, like you said, was the original theme that was played at the end. You had to wait till the end to get to it, and it was just a remixed version of the original. Yeah, hands down the first one. The 95 version wins this. The second thing I want to talk about, and this is more of a smaller point, and the only reason I want to talk about it is because I think we can get through this quicker before we get to the meat of the comparison. I want to talk about the plot. So I was hyped when I started the new one last night, and I kept pausing it. I was messaging my twin, and I'm like, oh my God. And then he told me the plot, and I'm like, you're kidding, right? They don't even make the tournament, and I have to watch this whole thing. That was a bit of a disappointment. Yeah. I found with the second one, it had massive, massive highs. Like, it was epic. I'm going to 100% say the fight scenes were so cool. It was epic. It had really high peaks, but then the lows were really, really low. Like, the plot was not a consistent mood, I guess you'd say mood, whereas in the original it was a straight line. You knew it was the tournament. You get in the tournament, there were multiple fighters, you watched all the different fight scenes. Like, it was just one neutral. There wasn't a super, super epic fight. I mean, there were some cool fights in the original, but compared to the new one, like, there was no high peak fights like that, but there was nothing super low either. I think for the 95 version as well, it had a very consistent plot tone of the film. Tone's the word I'm going to go with.
Yeah, a consistent storyline. I don't know. Yeah, I agree with that.
Because I found with, plot and storyline, I'll mix a little bit here. I liked in the 2021 version that it became world building and character building. So it really went into depth on certain characters and really built that background story, especially with Sub-Zero and Scorpion. Like, I was hanging on the end of my seat to see them two come back at the end. Like, horrible that I had to wait for the end for that. They really built and developed the characters in the new one, and they really built to develop the world, the outer world. And
so, like, in 2021, they made the characters culturally appropriate.
Yes.
And they
I was going to get to that when we talk about cast.
And that they had all those different languages as well. And so I like, the 2021 gets a point for that.
Yeah. Oh, we'll go into that one a bit more in depth in the cast section. But back on the world building, it was great and all, but then I feel the story really did fall in the middle. I did get a little bit bored. It was like all the fight scenes were gone. They were in the temple, and it got a bit down. Like the extreme low came, and I was just like, oh, okay, it's actually getting a little bit boring here. And then it peaked up again, which, I just found odd that for the film that it should be a fighting tournament film, that it did that. Whereas the original, neither high nor low, but yes, I'm happy to watch it straight through. I didn't get too bored at too many parts of the film.
And that's what really sucked, is that there was no tournament.
Yeah, I had no idea that was in the story. Yeah.
Because they had to win the 10th tournament.
Yeah, but
I
think they're aiming to build multiple movies out of this, clearly. But yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I assumed it was going to be they were going to go into the tournament, but I wasn't expecting that you wouldn't even see it. So I have to say, if I'm going to watch one, I'd probably watch cutscenes from the 2021. But if I want to watch it, I want to see the tournament. I'm going to go back to the original until the sequel to this new one comes out and they have the freaking tournament, pardon my language, and then I'll watch that. But yeah, the plot and the storyline was a bit in the new one. Obviously, the original, it was just a real clean slate, book by book sort of storyline, but it worked.
And that's what I like about it, is because you know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and like I think for quite a long time, the original, the 95 version, was the most successfully made live action video game film. And I still think it still holds. A lot of people condemn it and say it's bad. I freaking love it.
It only had a budget of $18 million.
Yes, which is small.
And also CGI wasn't the best back then.
No, but like I still think some of the fight scenes hold.
Yeah, like the CGI was so bad.
Yeah,
that it was so good.
Yeah, the CGI was terrible, but it's not terrible that I can't sit through it.
No, it's like so bad it's funny.
Yeah, well, yeah. I still think some of the serious scenes aren't that bad either.
No, but like when they're doing the CGI and then Scorpion gets the thing out of his hand and he's like,
yeah, oh yeah, yeah,
and it's a tree, like it looks like it goes for like 4 kilometers, but it goes right past him.
Even when Scorpion takes his mask off and it's a skeleton, it's like that skeleton is literally just propped still on a stick and the head doesn't move and they've just moved the mouth to make it look like it, and it's like, man, that looks so bad. But I love that. I love that they did it as best as they can. Even when like Goro takes Cage's Sunny's and he smashes it, it's like that they tried their best to build that prosthetic hand, which is pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. I want to move on to the next point, which is probably my favorite point I want to mention, is the fight scenes. Yes. 2021, hands down, smashed it.
Yes, but no, in the fact that, like, too many superhero movies, you see them fight, and this one it was all right. I mean, obviously the 1995 one, they looked rehearsed. This one, I don't know. It felt a little bit choreographed, but also it was way more graphic.
I do have to disagree with you with the choreograph. I watched the OG straight after the remake, and just seeing scenes where like Shang Tsung is like hitting Kung Lao, and you can see he doesn't even connect, and you just see the head flick, and it's like, oh man, that's so bad. But no, with the new one, it definitely lives up to the new games. The new games are so gory and graphic. I was blown away by that opening fight scene. That was so cool. I froze it at one point and I messaged my twin and I'm like, I have to show you this one part. And I rewound it and I recorded it. So yeah, in the opening scene, when Hasashi, he had the sword and he killed like four ninjas, but then one full katana blade just goes straight through the guy's skull. And I paused it and I like immediately videoed it and I'm like, you have to see this, because he hadn't watched it yet. I'm like, you got to see this, it's epic. And then when he grabbed the kunai weapon and he had it on the rope and he was just hitting them, and then you see him pull one guy and he lands back and his whole neck just snaps. I rewound that scene and replayed it about 3 times. It was that awesome. And it wasn't until he meets up with Sub-Zero down near the lake and he flings the kunai and it just misses him in the tree. And I was just like, I paused it. I haven't screamed at my TV in so long, and I'm like, holy shit, pardon my language. But like, I didn't even put 2 and 2 together. That was Scorpion. And I'm like, it's the thing that comes out of his head. God, I was so dumb, but that scene definitely held every other fight scene, I think.
Like I said, I only remember the 95 game, so I'm not aware that the new version is as gory as this.
Yeah,
so
the new
this one
really gory.
And going into it, I was expecting it to be not as violent and Kato not as sweary. He was
We will
disgusting.
talk about him. We'll move on to
Yes.
characters in a moment. But
Yes.
no,
But yeah, I
the
was
newer
not
games.
expecting that.
Yeah, like even in the original games, the graphics weren't that great, but it was a fairly gory game for the era that it came out in and the pixelation that it was in. But no, it's definitely a gory game. I think some of the games are R-rated when they come
Oh
out.
wow.
Yeah, so like they are gory games, and that's why I feel this one definitely lived up to the realm of the video game in the fight scenes.
I think, okay, knowing that, okay, I think it's also changed my mind, and I think the 2021 does then hold up, because if the games are meant to be more gory and graphic, then yeah, that you did its job and it did what it needed to. It did what it was meant to do.
Yeah, yeah, and I have to say how epic in the arena when Kung Lao had his like saw hat in the ground
Yes.
and the harpy lady, I'm so sorry, I didn't remember her name, when she comes down and just slices. He has that hat in the game as well. So it was cool to see that they incorporated that, but it was just definitely awesome that it was graphic.
When Sonya killed Melina, that was epic. That was so cool when they shot through her and then you saw her little bits of spine, and it
Yeah.
was just that was
That's in the
that
game,
was
the newer
cool.
games. You see shots like that. It was like that looked exactly like what you'd see in parts of the game.
No way.
Yeah. When we finish recording, Steph, I'll send you some clips.
Yeah, sick.
Yeah, I think 2021 takes this point for sure.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about characters.
Cast. Okay, because yeah, we've been dying to talk about this one.
Sonya. Okay. First of all, I want to talk
Massive
about
improvement.
Sonya. Are you? Nah. No way. Because
100% 2021 version.
I wanted to be Sonya Blade so bad when I grew up. She was such a kick-ass woman, and that she was like, when he was like, "Oh, I want to touch your butt or whatever," and she's like, "No, like go away." And yeah, I liked her. I thought she had a lot more character, a lot more presence than the other Sonya Blade.
Okay. Yeah, no, I actually think the new one was an improvement because the 90s one, I'm just gonna say it, she only got it because she was known as the hot chick from Billy Madison. She was sexualized. She was in her, military gear, which was just really black jeans and a black skivvy. And then she got put into short shorts and a singlet when she had to fight, or at the end scene, she had to be in this skimpy little dress and chained up. I just thought, when I was younger, yeah, I thought she was okay, she was pretty cool. But then the older I got and the more I watched it, I'm like, I actually don't like you in the 95 version. Whereas the 2021, she literally is the definition of a strong woman. She was in the military, she was in her military gear, she stayed that way, she didn't have to act all sexy and skimpy. She could have taken that mark whenever she wanted, but her character journey in that one was she wanted to be recognized as a strong warrior, and you saw that come through in her defeating Kano, which, best point, you have this misogynistic, like sexist, racist, gets his ass kicked by this awesome chick. And I really liked that fight scene because in the original, again, when I feel they over sexualize Sonya, they really emphasize her legs in that one, and especially in the way she snaps Kano's neck. But in this one, I feel like they really made it a believable grappling scene, like fight scene. So when your legs are stronger and you use them for leverage points to get your assailant away from you or something like that. And she really showed that in that one. And I love that she knew how to throw knives. I don't know, there was just something about it that was epic. And I just thought she was such a stronger person and she fit with the rest of the crew.
I think I'm just nostalgic for this movie because I hadn't seen it in such a long time, and it just brought back so many just memories and just like the stupid things that we used to do as kids where
Yeah.
ha ha, I've got fire, and like just that was just really fun. I guess growing up that we didn't have many like strong women to
Correct,
look up
yeah.
to. And I think that's why I was like, heck yeah, Sonya's so cool. I want to be her. Whereas, I don't know, I just could not connect with this Sonya.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I actually thought she was done better. I'll tell you a little interesting story that I was told through like research and by discussions is like a lot of internet trolls tried to say, it was sexist, she didn't get her mark and all of that, but everyone else just shut it down straight away. And it's like, nah, she was made strong, she was done right with her story arc, and the fact that she was the one who got to overcome Kano, which was even better, and the way she earned her mark was a better progression than, say, Cole, who was born with it purely because he was in the right lineage. And it's just like, she earned that spot. Whereas Cole, point that I'm going to make is it's just a bit silver spoon in your mouth. You only have that power purely because you're a descendant from Scorpion, I just think, Sonya earned that more than what you did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a bit with Cole's storyline.
Do you want to move on to Cole then?
Yeah, I mean, when he first came on the scene, I was just like, damn, this guy, like, they must have got a real MMA fighter, but no, he just did his research prior to it and obviously trained prior to the film, but like it looked really believable in that first scene. And then I don't know, I just think it's that whole character complex I find, when you're a fighter purely because of your family lineage. I think I've covered that, but yeah, I just couldn't take to it as much.
Again, I could not connect with any of the characters in this movie. Like Cole, I was like, cool. I liked the beginning scene when you saw like the baby, and I really like connected there. But the moment that
you mean Sub-Zero and
and Scorpion,
yeah, that scene. Yeah. Oh, that was so tragic. I think I wrote that in my notes, and I was just like, to go from such an epic fight scene to such tragedy when he comes and sees his like wife and son, and I'm like, wow, that was done so beautifully.
And like where he's just crawling and I'm
trying
just, like,
to get the baby. I was just like, oh my god,
don't give up. That was whole
done
scene
well.
Was so beautiful, and it was beautifully shot. Like it was gorgeous. But after that, I couldn't connect with any of them.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think, in my opinion, I think Sonya was done well. Scorpion was done better in this. Sub-Zero was better in the original. I like that Raiden was obviously culturally appropriate. I couldn't really get with the CGI they had over his eyes.
No, that annoyed me a lot.
Sit right. Yeah, I was just like waiting for it to like shift as his head would move. I feel like it wasn't placed right.
Look-wise, I'm going to say that Christopher Lambert won the 1995, but like obviously culturally appropriate, because I loved like the way that his eyes like shined and stuff were a lot better to me than 2021.
I think the one thing that in the 95 version that I wish, the 2021 version had was a bit more personality, because he was a bit of like, he was serious, but he was a jokester at the same time because he was a god, he had a bit of fun and have a bit of humor. Like when he's like, the fate of billions is in your hands, ha 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 ha, and he laughed on the boat. It's like, I find that the 2021 was really serious. Yeah, so my opinions on that was naturally Scorpion, Kano, and Sonya.
And can we just talk about Liu Kang? Oh my gosh, I had the biggest crush on him with his sexy mullet. I was just like,
his hair's out so perfectly in the 95 version. Yep. Even when he's like flip his hair around, it was still perfect, and I'm like, that's so unfair that my hair can't do that.
I had a crush on him back then, and I've still got one on him now. Like, he just the way that I loved his character so much as well.
I did too.
Not just he was pretty.
I think he just really reflected the hero having to, accomplish destiny. It came across. It was interesting actually to see them take Liu Kang and put him as a side character, like a support, as opposed to, the main protagonist, Liu Kang. So I did like, as I mentioned, I liked that he was kept as a side character. It was pretty interesting to see that point of view and let some others come into the front and spotlight. I just couldn't get my head around him and Kung Lao, because Liu Kang is supposed to be a descendant of Kung Lao, right, in the game. And then I was watching it and I'm like, how is that going to work? You know, how can you have him both of them in there at the same time? And then they're like, oh, we're cousins. And then they go to the point to say, no, we were both adopted and brought to this orphanage. Yeah, and then they're just both orphans. Yeah, so like in the end, they're not even related. And I just thought that was weird. I'm like, okay, cool. But definitely Liu Kang in the original. Let's move on to Shang Tsung.
Yep.
On 3, I hope we both agree on this, but on 3, who do you think was better? 1, 2, 3. The original.
95.
Yes, okay. He had, even just in simple 4-word sentences, he had such an energy and presence on film that the new guy it was like, meh. You didn't even really see his power until the end when he took the soul from Kung Lao. It's like, okay.
But in the original, he was scary.
Yeah, he was.
He was really scary. And I was like, yes, like when I was excited when he was on the camera, because I was like, oh, I hope you win. Like, I don't know, he was evil, but I was still rooting for him because he was he seemed quite like fun and like, I don't know, I just liked him a lot better.
He was cool. And fun fact that I'm gonna just say, my twin told me this last night, is fun fact, he played the actor of Shang Tsung in the original, played Sabrina's uncle in Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but he had to leave because he had to go to a tournament.
No way.
Yeah, and apparently it's just like this little cameo, and I'm like, I need to find him. Yeah, I'm like, wow, what a connection. No, that guy was so cool. I didn't even feel intimidated by the new guy. He just had no on-screen presence at all.
No, I did not care about him. And what about Jax?
It's hard to say, actually. I think that both of them are equally good, because Jax didn't make an appearance until the second live-action film, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, and they were both... I've
seen that one.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. There's some good fight scenes, definitely not as good as the original 95 one. That one I can watch multiple times. The second one, once every so often I'll watch it. But I thought the machinery looked really cool.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't look too CGI. Like, it looked like they built the machinery to go onto his, like, to be prosthetics. I thought that was done really cool. Yeah, it was done really good.
When he was, like, struggling to hit the punching bag, I was just like, the first thing that I thought was that Sonya's going to kill him so she can get the mark. Like, he's weak now.
What? I would never have thought that.
I just thought because I thought she's got to be in the tournament somehow. They don't let mortals be in the combat, so she's got to take a life. So I'm thinking maybe she's going to take his.
I think you were way off with Sonya completely.
Yeah, I didn't like her. I don't think.
You know what's really cool? She's from Sydney.
Is she?
Yeah, she's a Sydney actress. But no, another thing that I will have to say in defense of the new Sonya. Her story was done really well. As I was saying, it was her story of how she had to, prove that she earned that mark. And I think it was just done well in the sense that she was still there even when, she wasn't permitted. Like, she was a good soldier. She didn't cross the line and be like, no, I'm going to fight, not like all the other movies now where they push all the, like, women who are overpowered into it. It's like, she's like, all right, cool, I can be your emotional support. She helped Jax when he needed it. She helped Cole when he needed it. And she was ready to fight if you asked her to. And then that's when Cole's like, you can go and take care of Kano. You'll earn that mark. And I just thought, I thought her character was done well.
I don't know. I just didn't feel like she had much presence. Like, her storyline was a lot better. But yeah, I just didn't care for her. So yeah.
Fair. Let's move on to Kano.
Okay, so Josh Lawson's been an Australian comedian, and he was in like Blue Heelers. Oh, he was in Wilfred. He was also most
Wait,
known
was
to
he the
be in like
dog?
Superstore. No.
He
Give me a
was in
second.
Superstore?
Yeah.
I don't remember him in that.
That's what I know him from. Don't judge me. Home and Away.
Oh, God.
My mum is obsessed with Home and
For
Away.
our international listeners, Home and Away is an Aussie soap drama that has been running for years and where most Australians end up, I guess, getting their rise to fame.
That's where Chris
Hemsworth.
Hemsworth
Yeah.
started out. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually thought he was good as Kano. He took what Kano should have been and amplified it to the max. The 95 version, he was very toned down. And I think the one thing I'll say, the 95 version, I really loved his eye in that one. I
Yeah.
hated that it was just a little red dot in the new one. But
I also liked that it was a scar and you could see that scar and it wasn't just his eye covered up.
do you know what I thought when he first got the scar? I thought, oh,
Mm.
this is gonna be like Nick Fury and his eye's gonna pop out or something. But it didn't obviously happen. Nah, I thought he was really good. He stole the show and he was actually a really important piece, I feel. Like he pushed some of the main characters to be better.
Mm-hmm.
And he also was the mechanism to push the story on. So they're not just in the temple training. Like he's the one that cut the defense line and switched sides in order for them to come in and start the fights. I thought he was good. Typical that it had to be an Aussie though.
Well,
Because he's the first Aussie. They've all been British. Sorry, I'll just make that last point.
oh really?
Yeah. So Kana's been played by British guys twice, and he's the first Australian.
Because I'm not a fan of Josh Lawson.
Fair.
Yeah, he just irks me. And he like made his accent so ochre. It was just, and I don't know. I'm not a prude in any way whatsoever. I like to swear, but when you swear for the sake of it, it's not as impactful. Like going back to The Exorcist, right? How much did that affect, like,
The
impacted
C
you
word
that
when
amount?
it first came out. Yeah, that's true.
Whereas this one, it just felt like whatever. Like, can you stop swearing? I just feel like that was over the top.
Yeah, no, good point. He could have toned it down, definitely. But I think he was done well. I actually liked him in the new one. I thought he was better than the original. But I feel like no, I can see it's a recurring thing. They get like an Aussie guy and they make him swear ridiculously, and that's what he ended up doing. But I thought he was good. He could have cut some of the swearing down, but I liked his character. And he really came across as a cheat, like a liar and a cheat.
Oh yeah,
Scoundrel.
he just came off. I think I didn't like him because he was so repulsive.
Yep.
And so that like I felt like that, like what a creepy guy. Ugh, nah. So I think that's why I didn't like him, maybe because he did it such a good job that it made me not like him.
Yeah, it could be. And it could also be the reason I liked it is I haven't had much to do with him before. So it was a clean slate for me when I watched him.
Mm-hmm. What about Cage?
So Cage didn't come into the new one.
No, I know.
He was, so apparently, from what I've read, it may not be true, but apparently the reason he wasn't brought in is because they didn't want to have it dominated by a white male lead. That's why they wanted to introduce all the other characters first, and then he was mentioned at the end to bring him in for the tournament. He was going off to Hollywood to get Johnny Cage.
Mm-hmm.
He is he's a main character, so I kind of feel he could have been in there, and he still could have been a background like supportive character like he was in the original, because Liu Kang was the main character in that one, and I don't know if they could have done that, but I don't quite know where I stand with that.
I thought he was pretty smooth, and I was like, yeah, he's a bit of a babe. This
Yeah.
movie, like the 1995 movie, can I just say that was cast with such beautiful people?
Yeah, I
Whereas,
really liked him in the original. So it'll be really interesting to see who they'll cast as him. I wonder if they've already cast it.
yeah, like when he took his glasses off and he's like, they were
They
$300
were
glasses.
$500
Yeah. Oh,
glasses.
sorry, $500 glasses. And just he just came off as just like such a bit like Kato in the new one. He was just a bit of a like womanizer and thought he was so cool because he was an actor.
Yeah, that's true. I thought he was done really well. Can I mention though, I'm just going to jump here and give up my attempts of finding out if they've cast, because I can't say that they've done any casting for the next one. So I don't think we're going to find it. But Hiroyuki Sanada,
Hmm.
he played Hanzo Hasashi, so Scorpion.
Hmm.
In order for him to get ready for his role,
Hmm.
he played all the original games, and he said, I died every time I played the games. He was that bad. And fun fact, he's the oldest person to play Scorpion at the age of 52.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to like the scenery and all of that. So, like I said in the beginning, my friend actually, because this was filmed in Adelaide, my friend actually helped build the sets. And I said, oh, do you want to come on? And blah, blah. And he said, nah, because he signed like NDAs and stuff like that. So, unfortunately, they couldn't be on. But he was saying that the pit, when they were fighting in preparing, he goes, that was very, very tiny. And he
Wow,
was
really?
like,
It looked massive.
you don't realize how tiny the sets are until you're on set.
That's cool.
I know. So he said he helped build Sonia's house.
Oh, nice.
The pit and the pit where Scorpion and Sub-Zero were fighting.
So the end in the
Yeah,
boxing, that was
yeah.
cool. That was such a cool scene. Man, when he
See,
came out, bam. Sorry, I
yes.
got hyped again.
Oh no, no, and that's what I loved is that the effects were so good that when
Mhm.
the ice came like that, even
When he
in the
walked in and the
original,
whole boxing room was just covered in ice. It
even
was
in the original, when they were like when he turned his hand into ice, that was still pretty cool,
yeah,
considering they only had an $18 million budget. But
yeah.
obviously, this one had a ridiculous amount budget, so the effects were a lot better. But I probably going to get hated, but I think the original graphics weren't as bad as they could have been.
I 100% agree. I think the original, it's not as bad as people make it out. Like I said, I really love the original. The original, after watching the new one, really reminds me of like Survivor Island or something like that after rewatching it. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot all the like bamboo lanterns were around on the
Yeah.
set and stuff. But you have to admire the scenery in the second one,
Oh yeah.
and especially because obviously it's Australia. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think they both get good points for it because I think nostalgia comes out for me on this one and the original, but
Yeah.
I really like the sets that they did in the new one, and I really like that they did a lot of landscape shots, especially across the desert and stuff like that. That was
That
really
was
good.
beautiful.
Yeah.
So, how many movie reels do you give the 1995?
I would give that one a 4 because I've watched it thousands of times since I was a kid, and I probably still will watch it thousands of times. And this was one of the biggest points that I really, really thought about for how I was going to score, because I'm actually
Hmm.
really confused because there's good points about both of them
Hmm.
and then there are bad points about both of them. But I think when it comes down to it, and to me and what I want to watch, I want to see the tournament. I want to see just like fight after fight after fight. I don't want to see an epic beginning and an epic end. Like I mentioned, I got bored up until Scorpion came
Yep.
out again, and he was so cool in that boxing match fight scene. But I don't want to have to see it and watch that whole film to get to that. And I probably wouldn't. I'd probably fast forward it. So to me, I'm going to give the 95 version a 4, and I'd give it a good 3.5, 3.75 maybe, the second one, because there was a lot that I really liked about the second one.
See, I'm going to give the 1995 a 4 as well because I will watch this again and again.
Yeah.
And maybe it is nostalgia, but it's also a fun movie to watch. And the soundtrack is killer. Just like when I want to get pumped up, I'm like, yep, I'll put the soundtrack on or I'll, put the movie on. Whereas I'm going to give 2021, I'm going to give it a 3.
Okay.
Because I got bored halfway, when it was at its lows, I was bored and I did not connect to any of the characters. So, and I don't think I would watch it again in a hurry. I would watch it again, but I wouldn't watch it in a hurry.
Yeah, I agree.
I might watch it again before the next one comes out.
I would definitely rewatch Scorpion and Sub-Zero scenes again. In fact, I have them recorded on my phone because they were that good. So, yeah, I think I stick with my 3.75 for the second one, 4 for the first one. But...
And what do you... Oh, sorry.
Oh, yes, I forgot. I was almost going to move on from this point. How could I forget?
So, what do you think 1995 got on Rotten Tomatoes?
All right, so I'm going to try and think strategically here because I do know a lot of people give it crap, that it's hokey, but I do know it has a massive fan base. I'm going to give it, I want it to be higher, but I'm going to give it 62.
Lower.
Oh, I was afraid of that. I knew it was going to be. Oh, all right, I'm going to go 43.
Oh, you were so close.
42?
44.
Oh.
Yeah, so close.
Yeah, I had a feeling it would be low. It does get rated quite lowly with people, and I think it's the fan base that keep it going.
Yeah. Okay, what do you think 2021 got?
Okay, I actually think this one had a lot of really forward scenes, and I think some of the same points that I mentioned would strike with a lot of people. So I'm gonna go 70.
Way lower.
Ooh.
Higher than 1995 though.
Okay. 57.
Oh my gosh, you're so close again. 55.
I did think it would be rated more than the original, just because of some key points that I thought, but I didn't think either of them would be that low. I knew they'd be low, but I was expecting like 60s.
No, I agree with Rotten Tomatoes. On 2021, yes. Like I said, I think I would only ever watch it at one more time before the next one came out. And I only watched it because my mate was like, I actually helped build the set. So that was kind of why it was my choice.
Yeah, fair.
All right, let's move on to
Nerdazon's Nerdy Notables.
Finally finished Handmaid's Tale. Whoa, okay, I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. There's like ridiculously hard scenes to watch, but the last episode of this season, compliments to the creators.
It was done well, like it was rounded off well?
No,
not like
there's going to be another season.
Oh, I thought it was meant to finish at this.
No, there's one more season to go, and it was just like, perfect.
I thought like this was meant to be the last season.
No, they're going. I've looked it up, and that next season is going to be their last. But I've never screamed yes to the TV as many times as I did with that.
That was me with Mortal Kombat yesterday.
Also, I started a new show on SBS because I love Russell Tovey. I may have mentioned that a few times.
Yeah.
He's in a mini-series called The Sister, and it's pretty scary, which you're just like, oh, I'm interested.
Yeah, I was just like, I wasn't expecting that.
So it's about Russell, you know this from like the trailers or whatever as well, so no spoilers. So it starts off with this girl on the news and that she's saying, my sister's missing, nobody knows where she is, something's missing, and then you know that Russell Tovey's character had something to do with it, and then he ends up marrying the sister. And then there's a knock on the door, and this creepy guy that's like, we've got to move the body now. And that's like all you see in the trailer. It's really good.
Oh, interesting. That sounds really good.
And so Bob, the creepy guy, he like communicates with the dead, but it's not in a hokey way. But yeah,
Nice.
And I also saw a trailer for a movie that I don't know if it's out yet or not, but it's creepy, called Old.
I've seen the trailer for that, the M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, M. Night Shyamalan.
Of course, yeah, because it's a weird.
I love his movies.
I do and I don't. It's a half and a half for me with him.
No, I liked The Glass and all those movies. I loved them. And also, who doesn't love Sixth Sense?
Yeah, of course.
This one, it looks so creepy. So from the trailer, people are like having a picnic at the beach, and then people go in the water and they get old. And I was thinking, oh, is that it? Like, whatever. But then it just seems bonkers.
Yeah. Yeah, it looked weird. It's like, from what I gathered, like they're a whole family, and before they go, it says no families on the beach or something. And like the kids, as soon as they go in the water, they start aging, and then it's like, and there was just one sentence that I heard off the trailer that seemed like pretty chilling to me. Is, it was just a little 6-year-old girl, and she's in like a teenager's body now, and she's like, "Why are you looking at me weird, Daddy?" And it's just like, that's fucked up.
Are you gonna watch it?
I probably will, but I'll wait until it comes out.
And then the other trailer that I've got actually hooked up, ready to go, is because Mum and I were watching Handmaid's Tale, and fun fact, I didn't realize that she actually directed some of the episodes. She's a wonderful actress, absolutely. Elizabeth Moss.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So, and I was just looking through her IMDb page and things, and then there's a movie with her and Michael Stuhlbarg, who was the dad out of Call Me by Your Name. It's called Shirley, and she plays an old, bitter woman that is like a horror writer, and that she takes in 2 young people to her family, like she takes them in while they're in between houses or something, and it just looks creepy.
Yeah, that sounds creepy. It sounds like Misery, but roles reversed.
Yeah, so I don't know, that's a suggestion for you as well. I think you would.
It does sound really good. Yeah, she's a really good actress.
I think it's on Amazon.
It'll probably be on some dodgy sites for me to watch as well.
Police, it's okay. Please don't come and arrest her. FBI, if you're listening, it's okay.
Well, for me, I've just, as you know, I've been studying a lot. I have been listening / watching a podcast called Trash Taste. It's about some anime vloggers in Japan that I was watching their video vlogs for a while, and they've started Trash Taste, and they record the podcast with them at the table talking, and then you can watch it. So I've been watching that a lot, and then took me a while, and we only had 2 episodes to go, but we finally finished a UK series called The Thick of It. So it was Peter Capaldi's.
The Thick of It.
Yeah, I got it for my partner for our anniversary this year, and it took us ages to watch, but we finally watched the last 2 episodes. I wanted Malcolm Tucker to win. It sucks.
He was great.
He was so good. But yeah, apart from that, there hasn't been much more from me. I got the bulk of my TV watching yesterday and today, and I watched, the Mortal Kombat films, and then I watched one of our next episodes, which might as well tell it now. Next month I'm doing.
So excited. Like, I'm beyond excited. So we're doing Stardust, the book by Neil Gaiman versus the movie.
Yeah, and my choice for next month will be RoboCop, the 80s version versus the remake.
I didn't even know that RoboCop wasn't. I didn't even know that they redid RoboCop.
I know they redid it, and I remember it was like, it's like that whole, 80s, 90s action film, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to watch it. I haven't watched it since I was a kid. Let's do it.
Awesome. Okay, so if you like us, please like and subscribe on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever you get your good podcasts. We are on Facebook and Instagram, and we'd love to hear from you. If you have any suggestions or feedback, at nerdazons@outlook.com.
We also have merch by the incredible Craft Caster on Teespring, so T-E-E Spring.
Until then, stay nerdy.